If you missed my video about functions in Python, make sure to check it out, link will be in the description. Hello everyone, this is TechSend and let's continue with this Python tutorial. In programming, we have a really important concept which is variable scope. And scope means the region that this variable is located. I've defined a function called greet and I have inside of it x which stores a string which is hello. And I'm trying to print x outside of this function. And as you can see, I'm getting a warning. You know why? That's because x is a local variable. How do I know? Well, it's inside of a function. And every variable declared inside of a function is a local variable. Like if I say C and I'll assign to it a string which is world, C is also a local variable because it is declared inside of a function. So what are local variables? Local variables are variables that are declared inside of a function. So let me try to print x. As you can see, we got an error. Name x is not defined. That's because local variables are not known or doesn't exist outside of the function they are declared in. So outside of this function, x doesn't exist. So that means I could not print x outside of this function. Instead, I will indent print, and right now I could actually print my x variable, which is hello. Now a global variable is the complete opposite of a local variable. Let's say I've deleted this x variable and I place it outside of this function. What do you think is the scope of this variable? Well, let me print x first, and you can see we can print x and we got actually hello. Definitely x is not declared inside of a function. That means x is a global variable because we know that local variables are variables declared inside of a function. So global variables are the complete opposite. So this x variable has a global scope and it can be accessed everywhere. That means I could actually print x inside of the function also because x is a global variable, so it exists anywhere. If I run my program, I should get hello 2 times. Let me just write here in function, in func let's say, and here I would say outside. Okay. So we got outside first, that's because we declared the function right after the print statement. So if I declare first my function, then add the print statement, we should get in function hello, outside hello. So the global variable can be used anywhere. Now, what do you think this x will be? Hello or world? And what do you think this x will be too? Let me run my program to see. Well, in function, we got world, outside function, we got hello. Why? Because Python gives the preferences for the local variable. And definitely, the print statement outside of the function will definitely print the global variable. We have 2 functions in front of us, greet and greet2. Both of those functions have a variable called x. Now you might be asking, is it possible to have 2 variables with the same name? Well, in this case, yes. This x variable over here is a local variable, so it only exists inside of this greet function. Outside this greet function, it doesn't exist. That means if I actually have another variable outside of this greet function called x, it's a new variable. Python will allocate another memory for this variable called x, which is outside of my greet function. That means inside this greet2 function, I could also have another x variable which is different from the x above. Let me print their IDs to prove it to you. Print ID of x, and I'll say the same for the other one. Print ID x. This is the ID of the first x variable. This one is for the second x variable. And we could see that they have different IDs. That means they are 2 different variables. Same if I declare x outside of a function. So if I say x hereby, and if I print x over here, definitely this print function will print us by. Because local variables doesn't exist outside of their scope or outside of the function, that means this x variable is completely different of the other x variables. Also, let me print its ID. So ID, and let me run my program. You see, we got 3 different IDs. This is the first x variable, this is the second, and this is the third, which is the global one. Let's say for any reason you want to print x outside of its function. but we know that we can't do it because local variables do not exist outside of their scope. That means outside of their function. Well, we use the global keyword to turn a variable global. So when you say global x, then declare x and assign to it a value, this variable will become global. That means we could use it outside of its function. So whenever you use the global keyword followed by the name of the variable, you're turning this variable into a global variable. Now what do you think both of those print statements will print for us? Do you think hello or bye? Let's see. Both of them actually evaluated hello. That's because we turned our variable into a global variable, so that's why we got the x as hello. Let's say I want to change my global variable inside of the function only while keeping this variable local. So right now when we mentioned the global x, we turned the variable global. That means when I run my program, I got 2 times hello. So x was bye before the function. And when you said inside of the function that you want x to be global, you change the value of x to hello. I don't want that. I want to keep this variable local and change the value of x only inside of the function. First, I'm gonna take off this and I'm gonna use a function which is the function called globals. So this globals function allow you to access the global variables outside of your function. So let's say c equal to globals. But like this, I am accessing all the global variables outside of my function. I don't want that. I just want to access the x variable which is outside of my function. So I'll say in brackets, I'll mention x. And like this, I could change x to a value. So I could say c equal to, let's say bye, I want to change it to world. Before I run my program, what do you think x will be? Hello or bye? Definitely it will be bye because hello is a local variable which doesn't exist outside of its function. So c is world because we changed it to world right over here, and bye is actually this global variable because this is a local variable, doesn't exist outside of its function, so this x is bye. Alright, this is it on global and local variables in Python. Thanks for watching. This is TechSend, and I'll see you in the next one.